Dave. Let us know when you're going, and
then we'll get you.
Are you going to talk in like a wacky radio voice? I know it's all news DC radio,
but
but
it was 2009.
wah, 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 we're back.
We're back. You can start like that if
Really?
you want. Can she start us off with that?
we are.
I can't do
No,
it.
seriously.
I'm too embarrassed. No,
Do it. Come on.
I'm on the spot.
All right. Hi, I'm WTOP Entertainment Editor Jason Fraley, and I'm here with the one who I'm trying not to let make me laugh right now after her big radio voice impression, Emma Stone, star of La La Land. Thanks so
Hello.
much.
Thank you.
She just did a great radio impression.
Thank you. Really. Old pro.
Your movie knocked me out. It was awesome. I told Damien the same thing. It was fantastic. Take me into sort of one of my favorite scenes is the coffee stain and you have the jacket on. That's actually why I'm wearing this right now because there's coffee all down.
Really?
No, not really. But yeah, did it in honor of you. Did you have a sort of similar thing? Before Easy A, before Superbad, back then when you were a no name.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have any embarrassing coffee on the shirt kind of a story for an audition?
I don't know if it was as specific as the coffee down the shirt situation. It's so funny because I've been trying to remember, like my horrible audition stories because people are asking about bad audition stories for this movie, and there's only a few that really stand out. What stands out for me more than anything is the periods of not getting auditions. Like the periods of really being ignored and like going on a bunch of auditions and getting rejected from all of those, and then just like no one's calling you, no one wants you to come in. Yeah, and that was so brutal. Yeah. That was probably the most brutal part, is that feeling of like not even getting the chance.
Was there a moment where in the movie that there's a point where you sort of give up and you go back to the hometown? Was there ever a moment where it was close to that for you?
There were moments where I really felt like it's time to give up, but then never actually could bring myself to like get in the car and go home. So yeah, I still know the feeling.
What was your saving grace? Because in the movie it's the Ryan Gosling car horn,
Yeah, exactly.
The annoying long car horn. What would that be for you?
I really remember a moment when I was like, because I moved when I was 15 and my mom was out there with me for periods of it, and there was one time where I was just like crying on the floor of the apartment that we were renting, and I was like, I can't do it anymore, I can't do it. And she was excited, basically. She was like, ready to go home?
Right.
And I was like, no, I also can't do that. No, I can't go home. No, I have to keep going. But it was almost like anyone saying like, all right, well then you should just go home. Right. Was sort of my car horn, I guess, because that was the thing I just could not do and really faced with it.
Isn't that the crazy? It's almost like the people you mentioned, your family was like, yes. It's
yeah.
Like the people that love you the most are they don't want to see you get hurt.
They don't want to see you get your heart broken. Yeah. In any situation. So, but they believed in me for sure. Like they never were like, don't do this. Obviously, I moved at 15, so they were incredibly supportive. But it was, yeah.
Well, then, so if there's other people that are sort of in that space now, other actresses or filmmakers, whatever that you were then, how might just the signature song lyrics, here's to the ones who dream.
Yeah.
Talk about how sort of, that's going to be, your voice is going to be playing in their head after they leave the movie, those lyrics.
I'm sorry. Well, the lyrics, I understand.
Yeah. But, how does that song and those lyrics sort of speak to their situation and how it might give them hope?
To all of us, to anyone, I think, that lives a creative life. It's a kind of, it's a sort of insane existence in so many ways. I can't imagine living any other way than getting to be a creative person, but it's also so crazy making a lot of the time. And you're hanging these hopes on sometimes things outside of you, or you're creating things and hoping people respond to them, or it's just,
putting yourself
I don't
out
know.
there,
I don't know that it has any bearing on how outwardly, quote unquote, successful you are in whatever you're choosing to do, because I think all success is inward anyway, and that's what I think song is about.
And music-wise, that's sort of the theme of that song. But when you step up and do that audition, a lot of people maybe they didn't get up to Broadway and see you, and it was cabaret.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, but how cool is it? I think that'll be a pleasant surprise for people to hear you open up and sing.
Oh yeah. Oh, it'll be a surprise of some sort.
it'll be a
whatever adjective they choose.
It'll be a pleasant.
Oh man.
But yeah, no. So one of my favorite scenes too is when you guys are in the planetarium and you go up into the stars. Very magical, Rebel Without a Cause, all that stuff. What in Birdman, your character? Could you do it for me? It was like a and you look up.
I'm not gonna do it right now.
And you see you floating in the stars. What would that Birdman character think as she's watching them, Ryan and Emma, go into the stars in that moment in that movie?
I don't know. I think she'd probably be pretty cynical about it.
That movie was very cynical, a lot more than this, I guess.
Well, she was certainly, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Talk about working with, because there's long single takes in both of them, in both that. Talk about working with directing styles of Alejandro Inarritu and Damien Chazelle.
The differences in their direction.
What's like the strength that they each bring?
Well, I think both of them have like incredibly clear visions. They're obviously both auteurs, so they're writing and directing their own stuff. And I mean, there were a lot of those kind of single take feelings in La La Land as well, like, long single takes that were choreographed and we rehearsed for a long time. And both movies have to do with actors in some way. So aside from all of those comparisons, they're totally different in terms of personality, equally passionate, but just very different guys. And although I think they'd get along very, very well.
Working with Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
Because I know you guys have, some history that goes back in terms of movie-wise, Crazy Stupid Love.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
Yeah.
One of the better rom-coms of this millennium.
Yeah.
But what's that chemistry like for you guys, especially in that scene where you have that argument in the green light, which is like a Vertigo thing. But what is I was amazed at how real that felt, how it sort of ratchets up, and you're both like kind of talking past each other, and that's not really what out of your life. But how do you what's it like working with him, and how do you mine a real argument like that? It felt real.
There's a very nice thing that Damien and the other directors we've worked with have been open to, which is we really love to improvise. So I think it helps when from the very beginning, from our first audition for Crazy Stupid Love, they had us improvise. So you very quickly get to know who you're working with, how generous they are, how much they're willing to, play around with you or go to these kind of extreme places or not. Yeah. And I think we both have a similar love for that and clicked in that way. So we were able to utilize some of that in this.
Do you in real life geek out about like your character, like that's the window that they were in Casablanca? Do you have a similar passion for the old flicks?
Yeah, I do. I don't know. I'm not as probably knowledgeable about the locations throughout LA or anything, but there's some. I definitely get overly emotional about certain nostalgic things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think this movie's gonna make a lot of us nostalgic, but it also feels entirely fresh. So
good.
Job well done.
Great.
See you at the Oscars.
Oh God.
Emma Stone on WTOP. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Cool.